Dungeons are an important part of the game of D&D. After all, they make up half the name, and you never see dragons, so... And while in 5th edition, our class abilities make it much easier for us to blast through dungeons, I miss that classic feel where it was just you and your wits and whatever was in your pack against the world. If you miss that too, or if you're looking to impress your friends and your dungeon master with your ingenuity and cleverness, and you don't want to break the piggy bank, this video is for you. So this is mundane items that would make Gary Gygax cry. Yeah? Do you have anything to add? So we're gonna start off strong with one of those items that you can pick up at just about any town lingering on the edge of a deadly hellscape of a dungeon, and which can be incredibly useful in a variety of different ways. And that item is a bag of flour. Yeah, we're starting real cheap. Okay, so this baker staple has way more uses than you may think. Not only does it have a bunch of practical uses that most people don't know about or think about, such as starching clothes, making Play-Doh, treating acne, cleaning copper or stainless steel, and playing cards, because the barbarian's hands are literally always greasy, but flour has a bunch of dungeon-specific uses as well. For one, it can be mixed with water to make an on-the-fly glue, which is really useful for trap detection or deactivation. When mechanisms get gummed up, they don't work so well. In addition, everyone's always marking where they've been with chalk, which is a surefire way to let wandering goblins know that there are adventurers in the dungeon right now. Everyone knows the chalk trick. Instead, leave a pile of flour in the corner of cleared rooms if you're in an especially maze-like dungeon. It'll just look like normal dungeon trash to most monsters, and if an ooze decides to eat it, it'll probably leave a sticky residue. And then you'll know that there's an ooze and that you were in the room, so twofer. To boot, with water and pigment, it can be used to mark stuff like a paint in the same way that chalk might, so threefer. And it's also wildly good at cleaning up oil spills, which can be a very slippery, very big problem in tight corridors, especially with flying enemies or crawling enemies. Don't use it to stifle a grease fire. Boom. Which brings me to my next use for flour, which is that dispersed and floating, flour can become a massively potent explosive, turning your fire bolt into a fireball. This is obviously like a DM's discretion kind of use, but with the proper teamwork and the right amount of flame in a very windless location, like a small room in a dungeon, I have blasted entire parties of goblins without spending a spell slot. What is less reliant on DM discretion and much more of just a truth is that flour sticks to things really well. If your DM questions this, invite them to try it in their kitchen, just once or twice. You know, you can do a whole study together. Just bap, bap, bap. It'll stick to them every time. So my favorite use for flour in D&D is simple. Picture this. The door creaks as you enter the next room. Your rogue pads inside, searching for traps as the rest of your party examines the dimly lit space from the doorway. Now the rogue looks about, and then with a bemused smile turns back to you, throwing up a thumbs up as she breathes in to give the all clear. And then something moves her hair, but there is no breeze in this room. She screams as claws rake across her back, tearing through her armor, a critical hit from an unseen assailant. The barbarian roars in rage and charges forward, swinging wildly with his maul, barely giving the wounded rogue time to duck out of the way. But his haymaker finds nothing but stale dungeon air as another series of claw marks opens up on his bare torso, and his furious swings redouble. At the table, you see your friend playing the wizard, eyeing his rapidly dwindling spell slots. You know that he's thinking fairy fire, which would easily mark out the target, but would also possibly make your allies easier to hit. But you, brilliant, beautiful, devilishly charming, and about to blow everyone's mind, lean over and whisper, "Hey, let me try something." You reach into your backpack to pull out a burlap sack labeled flour. Your DM looks at you quizzically, and you grimace back knowingly as you march forward, cutting it open with your sharp throwing knife and hurl its contents in an arc in front of you. The flower erupts into the empty air, sticking to the rogue, to the barbarian, and even to you, but the flower also sticks to the slick surface of the predatory invisible beast that has haunted these halls unopposed for a century. But you, the MVP of this dungeon crawl, have undone it at last. The next time your barbarian swings, the sound of bones shattering can be heard down the echoing halls of the dungeon. And then you level up.
Level up.
Hey, it's a fantasy, right? Why not? Flower is such a Samwise Gamgee pack item. I mean, speaking of, honorable mention for the Samwise Dungeon Crawl Kit. Metal pan for bludgeoning damage. Potatoes to boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew to identify friend from foe by who will eat and enjoy them, because everyone who is good, or at least reasonable, loves potatoes. And finally, to use them as projectiles to set off traps. Sam was the MVP of the Fellowship of the Ring, and we all know it. If you've made it this far, first off, thank you, and consider liking and or subscribing, and hey, throw me a comment real quick. I mean, not only does it make my day, but engagement actually helps other people see the video, which is great. Or even better, share it with your party members as you stock up for your next delve. On to part 2. This second item that I pack for every dungeon crawl is maybe a little indulgent, but, well, it's booze. It's booze, it's hooch, swill, spirit, poison, firewater, liquid courage. Alcohol has way more uses than just celebrating at the end of a dungeon. Now, alcohol, specifically hard liquor, has a long history of being an important survival tool, and not only to numb your mind against the grating truths of reality, but also to clean wounds and create medicinal potions of a sort. I mean, that's what I call my hot toddies, and I have one every time that I'm sick. That's very true. But alcohol, and specifically vodka, has a bunch of other uses. It can be used as an insect repellent, which I can hear y'all saying now, oh, why would that be useful? Why do you need to repel insects? There are a remarkable amount of insect swarms of various sorts in dungeons. I mean, look at the freaking mummy. Booze could have saved so many lives. In addition, it dissolves solvents, which makes it super useful for, again, disabling traps or taking apart dungeon features, or just getting that ruby gem out of the eye socket of that creepy statue. There definitely won't be any consequences for that. Totally safe. And in addition to killing nasty foot odors, I'm looking at you, druids of every party, it can be used to kill mold. And there's nothing quite as completely shameful as dying to brown mold. But finally, we tend to forget that dungeons aren't just traps and fights. Dungeons are social ecosystems, or as one might call them, neighborhoods. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now, this is to say that we don't have to fight every group of baddies that we come across. In fact, we can make powerful allies against some of the nastier things in the dungeon with the right leverage. And vodka makes for great leverage. There's also some serious precedents for this in real life as well. Most go-bag packing guides advise you to bring alcohol in order to disinfect wounds and trade. In addition, drunk goblins are way easier to kill than sober ones. What can I say? I like the chief's chicken bone crown. It'll look so good on my goblin. Are you my little goblin man? Yes. What? Really? Yes, that's how goblins speak in my campaigns from now on. Now for the cherry on top. And you know what? 2 prefaces before we begin. 1, this is sliding into the territory of using animals in dungeons, which is a little morally gray. More than a little morally gray, it's very morally gray. It's not something I like and something I typically disallow at my tables, except for the occasional bit of chicken chaos. And 2, this is so not my creation. It's actually something I haven't even done or seen happen in any of my games, but it was literally the inspiration for me making this video. I just think it's so brilliant. This particular piece of gear is mostly free, and it just requires some time collecting stuff and a strong stomach. But it's such a multi-use item, it's practically a must-have. It is the tactical rat, or Tac-Rat. Now get ready. First, find yourself a bevy of dead rats. Either catch them to yourself or pay a local rat catcher, which was a real profession. Here is a picture of Jack Black the rat catcher and his little dog Billy, who worked in London in 1851. You cannot make this shit up. Or heck, your DM might allow you to summon 8 rat swarms with conjure animals if you don't tell them what you're up to, and you don't mind killing hundreds of rats.
Bloody work.
Okay, so step 1, done. Dead rats, got them in hand. Step 2, get your friendly local cleric to cast Gentle Repose on your little dead rat buddies. Again, maybe the DM will let you batch the spell because they're so small. Technically, the target is 1 corpse, but again, don't tell them what you're up to until it's too late. This will preserve your little ratatouilles for 10 days, probably more than enough time to use them up in the dungeon. And finally, poison them. Now, I'm actively not going to be specific about how you do this. I haven't thought about it too much. I suppose it depends on the type of poison you have in hand, etc. This tool requires a strong stomach. I mean, I know my audience. Y'all are thinkers. The entire comment section is going to be how to poison a dead rat quickly and efficiently. D&D is a game for monsters, Tupac. For monsters! That little tail go. No, you have to stay in the here. Yeah, you have to stay in the here. Oh, you're very good, though. Stay. So now, dead rat, gentle repose, poison, you are in possession of tactical rats. So how does one use a Tac-Rat, you may ask? In so many ways. Curious if that chest is trapped? Throw a Tac-Rat at it. Trip a tripwire? Tac-Rat. Pile of bodies you suspect are sleepy zombies waiting to lurch up and bite the first thing that moves near them? Tac-Rat them. Want to confuse the hell out of anyone? Throw a dead poisoned rat at them. Don't know if there's a hungry dire bear in that room with the pile of human bones? Bait it out with a tactical rat or 10 and poison the bear twofer. Big, dark, empty room that could have any combination of the things listed above. Tac-Rat. Now this budget item really sings to me of the incredible ingenuity that we put towards this game, which is one of the coolest parts of it. I love when my players go away for the week but can't keep the game off their mind and they keep thinking of new ways to interact with the world that I've presented with them, and when it's a dungeon that's trying to kill them before they can get to the MacGuffin. Tac-Rat. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. Yeah, thank you for watching. Please comment, tell me your favorite dungeon trick or the coolest way that you sidestepped a dungeon obstacle, encounter, or trap. I'd love that stuff. I think my next video is gonna be about crazy dungeon obstacles. I make no promises. Anyway, share this channel with your DM so that you can get more crazy stuff in your game. Stay miles away from boredom, and I'll see you next time. You were obnoxious that whole shooting. Yeah, you gonna dance about it? Are you gonna dance about it? Are you gonna get prancy? Oh, you did a little pause. Oh my goodness. Whoop, the leap. Go for it. Come on. Yeah, good boy.